Paris may be the only city where people will warn you not to do the very things you flew across an ocean to see. Don't go up the Eiffel Tower, skip the Champs-Élysées, avoid the Mona Lisa. The Moulin Rouge is too touristy. Apparently, the correct way to visit Paris is to avoid Paris and spend the entire trip searching for a bakery nobody else heard of.
So on our latest visit, we decided to stop pretending we were too sophisticated for the classics. We drank champagne on the Eiffel Tower, cruised the Seine, and fought our way towards the Mona Lisa.
Some of these experiences were expensive, crowded, and completely ridiculous. So today, we're breaking down Paris's biggest tourist attractions, what they cost, how to plan them, and whether they are actually worth your money in 2026.
So let's begin at the top, because champagne on the Eiffel Tower may be the most unapologetically tourist thing we have ever done. The standard adult ticket to reach the summit by elevator costs around €36, while the official summit and champagne package costs €60. You ride 2 elevators, arrive 276 meters above Paris, and receive a glass of champagne at the bar at the top.
And we loved every decadent second of it. Is that glass of champagne excellent value when judged strictly by volume? Absolutely not. But you're not paying for 12 centiliters of liquid. You're paying to stand above Paris, look across the rooftops, and behave as though this is how you normally spend a Tuesday afternoon.
Our tip is to book directly through the Eiffel Tower's official website because summit times sell out quickly, especially around sunset. Give yourself at least 2 hours when you're up there because you still have to go through security and you may have long waits for elevators. Large luggage is not allowed, so just bring a small carry-on and there is no luggage storage at the tower.
Also, bring another layer, even in summer. It can feel completely different at the summit, and the Eiffel Tower itself warns that it's always windy up there, and it is. Our verdict is an enthusiastic, this is worth it. It is expensive, iconic, and gloriously unnecessary, which is exactly why it feels special.
I concur. Now let's move on to the Champs-Élysées. It receives a lot of abuse from people who say it has become too commercial. Well, they're not entirely wrong. It's extremely busy, full of international brands, and it's not where you want to go searching for a quiet little piece of undiscovered Paris.
But we still love it. We love getting a cafe table, watching people parade by, and pretending we are rich enough to casually shop our way toward the Arc de Triomphe. You can also visit the enormous Louis Vuitton flagship, which is probably the suitcase store you were trying to remember. Even when you're not buying anything, it's fascinating to watch all the luxury retail performed like theater.
A coffee along the avenue can easily cost more than it would a few streets away, but you're renting one of the world's best people-watching seats. Our advice is to not dedicate half a day to shopping here, though. Walk the avenue, stop for a drink, enjoy the spectacle, and then continue toward the Arc de Triomphe. So our verdict? It's worth it once for a short time, especially if you lean into the ridiculousness instead of complaining that it's touristy while you're busy being a tourist. Now, the Arc de Triomphe gives you one of the best views in Paris because the Eiffel Tower is actually in the view instead of underneath your feet. From the roof, 12 avenues radiate outward from the traffic circle, and at night, the headlights turn the whole scene into organized chaos.
Now, there are a lot of stairs, 284 of them for most visitors, although an elevator is available for people who need it, followed by a smaller final climb. Make sure to reserve a sunset or evening entry, arrive early enough for security, and use the underground pedestrian passage. Never attempt to cross traffic in the circle above ground unless you've decided that Paris needs one more memorial. It's crazy traffic. Our verdict here? Yes, it's worth it, especially at night. For the actual city view, we may prefer it to the Eiffel Tower even. A Seine cruise is also one of the easiest recommendations in Paris. Sightseeing cruises generally last about an hour, and major operators run departures throughout the day, so it's relatively easy to work one into your schedule. From the water, you pass landmarks including the Louvre, Musée d'Orsay, Notre-Dame, and the Grand Palais without repeatedly battling traffic or checking Google Maps.
But the real reason to take one is that nothing feels more romantic than seeing Paris from the Seine. The city was designed to be admired from the river.
We do recommend booking a departure shortly before sunset. You see the city during daylight, watch it begin to glow, and maybe catch the Eiffel Tower sparkling after dark. Prices depend on the operator and whether you book a basic sightseeing cruise, drinks, or dinner. So compare the actual package instead of automatically choosing the cheapest listing.
We have links to all of the tours that we did in Paris below, so be sure to check them out. So our verdict is, it's absolutely worth it, particularly for first-time visitors or even on the first night when you're tired, jet-lagged, and you're just not ready to march 15 kilometers across Paris by foot. Now on to what used to be a quaint little place in Paris, Montmartre. But Montmartre is becoming more crowded by the day. However, it's still one of the most enjoyable parts of Paris to explore. Sacré-Cœur gives you a sweeping view across the city. But don't simply climb the steps, take one photograph, and leave.
No, walk through the side streets, see the surviving vineyard, find the famous staircases, and look for locations connected to films like Amélie and John Wick. Now, the Place de Terre is packed with artists and tourists, so browse before agreeing to a portrait and confirm the price clearly before you hand over the cash.
And nearby is the Moulin Rouge. It opened in 1889 and became famous for helping popularize the modern can-can. It's flashy, expensive, tightly packed, and about as subtle as a feathered chandelier descending from the ceiling, which is why it completely works.
Yeah, we absolutely loved it. This had been on our bucket list for years, and the show delivered exactly what we wanted. Spectacle, costumes, dancing, and an old-school Paris cabaret experience. Ticket prices vary dramatically according to the performance time, seating, and whether dinner or drinks are included. So book through the official venue and study what your package actually contains, because it can get incredibly expensive. So what is our verdict on the Moulin Rouge? Well, it's expensive, but it's worth it once. We would not attend on every single Paris trip, but as a bucket list night, we had zero regrets. Now we've reached the one that everybody expects us to worship, the Mona Lisa. We did not. The painting is historically important, yes. The experience of seeing it is awful. You enter a crowded room, join a slow-moving wall of phones, and eventually get a few seconds in front of the painting, protected by glass and surrounded by people taking photographs of themselves, not even looking at it.
The Louvre now charges about €32 for most visitors from outside the European Economic Area and €22 for EEA residents or citizens. There's a lot of discounts, free days, and students get in for free as well, so check that out before you visit. It opens from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Monday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday, and stays open until 9 p.m. on Wednesday and Fridays. It's closed on Tuesdays, so remember that. Our practical advice is to choose a small section of the Louvre instead of attempting to conquer the entire museum. It's enormous, and trying to see everything turns art appreciation into an endurance test.
Yeah, what we loved far more was walking around the Louvre outside at night. The Cour Napoleon, where the glass pyramid sits, is normally accessible until 10 p.m., although special closures, they can occur. Now, once the daytime crowds thin, the palace glows, the pyramid reflects in the fountains, and the whole area feels like a film set.
And this is why we recommend staying nearby for at least part of your visit to Paris. We stayed at Hôtel Louvre Piémont, and it gave us exactly what we wanted, an elegant hotel in a remarkably convenient location without paying full palace view fantasy prices. Now, affordable in central Paris remains a flexible term, so compare your dates carefully, but the location allowed us to walk to the Louvre, the Palais Royal, the Seine, and many central neighborhoods.
So our verdict here, the Mona Lisa is skippable, but the Louvre is not, and the exterior at night is one of the best free experiences in Paris.
Now on to Versailles. This is not a quick attraction that you squeeze in before lunch. It's a full day outing involving public transportation, security, a palace, enormous gardens, the Trianon estate, and enough walking to make your feet start drafting a formal complaint.
but it is extraordinary. The Hall of Mirrors, the royal apartments, and the sheer scale of the estate help you understand that Versailles was simply not a residence. It was a power turned into architecture. Everything was designed to overwhelm visitors, impress foreign dignitaries, and remind the French nobility who was in charge.
But don't forget, the main palace and the Trianon estate are closed on Mondays. And Dave and I, we have made that mistake. Now, the palace normally opens at 9 a.m. while the Trianon estates open at noon. The gardens and park, they have separate schedules and they can remain accessible even when the palace is closed.
So reserve the earliest palace entry you can and do the interior first. Crowds build quickly in those Hall of Mirrors, and afterwards you can move into the gardens, have lunch, and then continue to the Grand Trianon, Petit Trianon, and Marie Antoinette's estate if your energy allows it. Versailles is magnificent, but it is long. So our verdict here is, yes, Versailles is completely worth it, provided you treat it as the main event rather than a side trip.
Now, the next stop on our list is very exciting because Notre-Dame is open again. Now, Dave and I, we're not particularly religious, but put us inside a great French cathedral and suddenly we discover our inner Jesus lover. The scale of the stonework, the light, and the knowledge of everything this building has survived, it's genuinely moving.
Entry to Notre Dame Cathedral itself is free, but expect security and queues and check the cathedral's current reservation system before visiting. Tours of the towers and other experiences are separate.
Then walk a few minutes to Sainte-Chapelle. From the outside, it's easy to underestimate. Inside the upper chapel is wrapped in enormous stained glass windows, many dating back to the 13th century. So make sure you visit when there's enough daylight to illuminate them because they're gorgeous.
Now, these two places work beautifully together because Notre Dame overwhelms you with scale, while Sainte-Chapelle overwhelms you with color. The verdict here is both of them are worth it, and Sainte-Chapelle may be the surprise winner here.
So, are Paris's biggest tourist attractions actually traps?
Well, sometimes. They can cost too much, consume half a day, and place you in a crowd with 8,000 people trying to capture the same photograph.
But calling something touristy doesn't make it bad. The secret is not avoiding famous places, it's choosing which ones matter to you, reserving them properly, and leaving enough time to enjoy Paris between the bookings.
So let us know in the comments, which Paris attraction completely lived up to the hype, and which one made you say, who cares?
And if you enjoyed this, stay tuned for more travel tips and destinations because we put out a couple of videos every week.
Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you in the next one.